Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar, Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. Let's just take care of some housekeeping. If you could read through the risk disclaimer, please. Any questions to the question box or the chat box, got both of those open. If you're on our YouTube live stream at the moment, I can't see the chat, but you're more than welcome to register and come into the webinar so you can ask questions. So I'll put the link there in the chat for you, or you can just stay on there and watch in silence. That's more than welcome. All right, so just read through the risk disclaimer before we move along. All right, if you don't know me, seeing a couple of new names maybe on the list there tonight. My name is Duncan Cooper. I'm a senior market strategist and trading mentor here at ACY Securities, and I'm a full-time trader. Been trading the Forex market now for more than 15 years. Had the opportunity of mentoring clients for more than 10. If you want to contact me, you can get me on the email on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, if you want to follow me, then you can get me at the website, acy.com market news tab, or YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia. And if you want to connect with me personally, my Twitter and LinkedIn are there. And through the week, if you want to connect even more with some analysis based around our webinar education, looking at trend, support, and resistance, key trading levels, then get access to our Telegram channel. Just contact Nathan Bray at acy.com. I'll put his details in the chat in a moment as well. If you want to get access to my chart layouts, templates, and indicators, look like this up here. You'll see them on my charts in a moment. Just contact Nathan. He will sort that out for you. Nathan may be a little aloof at the moment. He's just on a little bit of maternity leave, but if you send him an email, somebody will pick up your email and get back to you. So I'll just put his details in the chat. All right, that's in the chat. All right, then first up, let's just have a look at what news items are coming out. Quite a few important items coming out for the week. Might just need to refresh this. All right, so the next news item coming up, we'll just cover the next couple of days. 10:30 p.m. tonight, these are New South Wales time. We've got the US CPI data coming out and Core CPI. Expecting CPI to be a fraction negative than the month before. Moving tomorrow, 4 p.m. for the pound, we've got CPI data, and then 10:30 p.m. tomorrow, we've got the US PPI data and Core PPI data coming out. So looking at the figures here, they're just looking to be fractionally worse tonight than the previous month. Looking at PPI data to be fractionally better than the previous month. So the market will be definitely looking at those figures. So we're seeing the market at the moment with a fraction, pairs to the US dollar with a fraction of a bid, but not moving too far at the moment. They're all waiting for the data at 10:30. So you're going to need to make your mind up. Do you want to trade before then? So we'll go through the levels. I just want to click through my charts and just see what's going on the lower time frames before we get into it. And posted a level on the Aussie dollar today, didn't quite get down there. And it is moving up to the 6,900 level where I said it was probably going to move back up to. All right. There's a little bit, as I say, a little bit of bid on most of the US dollar pairs. And there's that big question. I'm going to start with the dollar index and see what's going on there first of all. There's a big question at the moment in my mind. I'm going to go to the monthly chart and squash it in. On the major range for the dollar index, I've drawn a fib from back in 2001 approximately down to the 2008 low. And we're up at the 79% level. And we're obviously putting in a negative month at the moment. Is this a significant top or a short-term top? And some monthly resistance levels, we're a fraction short of getting up to 111.31, failing at next level at 109.24, and just seeing where we're at the moment. Can't see it because of that line. We're either just fractionally below or on support here, monthly support. So we've had many, many months up here. So we're at a significant area where we could get some selling pressure at the 79% fib. That doesn't mean to say that the trend's going to change. 1 or 2 months down, even pulling back to this area of support now, doesn't change the trend of the dollar index. It's just on the monthly chart, it will just be a corrective pullback. This is high tops and bottoms, very long-term run up. You know, we've had, I don't know, 6 to 8 months there, if you want to count them, of really no pullback whatsoever. So we're due a pullback. Doesn't mean to say the overall longer term trend is changing. So the weekly, we are having one week down, 2 negative weeks in a row. So MACD's potentially crossing down here. We might be getting a deeper pullback. So I'll be monitoring fib retracement across that current trend. You know, as long as we pull back to the 62 level, 106.95, and that holds, then that dollar index trend could well just be a short-term pullback. We'll just have to monitor and see. But at the moment, we're seeing some negativity there on the dollar index, and on the day chart, we haven't quite broken the trend, but we're probably going to break below this swing point to change that down. The day chart trend to down, and there's a bit of MACD divergence there. So we're probably going to pull back to the 62% level there for sure. And then do we start to have a deeper pullback from then on? We'll have to monitor. So US dollar getting weaker. Stock indices, S&P 500 is getting some strength. And we're putting in, I think, if we move to the weekly chart, this is the weekly chart range I've got drawn in with the fib. We've dipped below the 62 and weekly support here, got support and moved back above, changing the day trend back to up. And so what we're seeing is US dollar weakness, stock market strength, and if we move it up to the weekly chart there, we're putting in another higher bottom. So if nothing really changes, we're probably going to take out this top and come up to the higher levels of resistance up here at 45.06. And I just need to remind myself where 45.06 comes from. Must be a daily level from somewhere. Must be a level I had drawn in over here from quite a while ago, so it's not that relevant. So I'm going to take that one off. Let's see where the next major level of resistance is on the weekly. Moving up, there's that top there at 43.23. And then we would be into this area of old support, 45.03. So around about the 4,500 level, 127 extension up there, we might see the market get up to that level. If that's going to move up that way, we're probably going to see a little bit more weakness. Question coming in, is there an Arabic translation? No, there's not. There's only me talking in English, so there's no translation, unfortunately. All right, so moving along, let's get into the pairs now. I'm not looking to take a position ahead of the news, but what I would be looking at is just looking at the longer term trend of these pairs. So the Aussie Yen, whatever the longer term trend is at the moment, even if the market information comes out, the news information comes out at 10:30, a little bit negative, in all probability with some of these pairs that are in strong trend, that will just give you an opportunity to maybe find a level to buy a dip at, in all probability. All right, Aussie Yen here is in a clear dominant trend on the day chart, and if I just drop it down to the monthly, you can see that we're in a very strong monthly trend here at the moment. I wouldn't try to book this at the moment. And the weekly is showing you the same. All right, and the day is showing you the same. So we've broken above some monthly tops here, and the levels that we've broken above are 97.28 and 96.87. So if we get some news coming out that's going to give us a pullback, I'll be watching those levels, 97.28 and 96.87, for an opportunity to get a pullback too, and then look to establish a long position. Now, just looking at the 4-hour chart, drawing in a fib across the trend there on the 4-hour, the 79% level, if nothing changes and we get a pullback, just coincide with 97.28. So 97.28 would be potentially a very good level to watch for an opportunity to trade up if we can pull back to that level. So Just monitor that level through the day. Also, today's projected low comes in at that area too. So we've got the 79% retracement, monthly support. We'll have done the range for the day if we get down to that level. So we could well experience a bounce down there. Yesterday, when we gapped down at the start of the day, we got support at the 9,700 level. So moving up to the high of yesterday, pulling back to the 79% area would be ideal if we could do that. May well not do that. We may well just continue all day long and not really get a pullback for an opportunity to buy as we head towards New York. If we do continue up, let's say the news is good for the Aussie Yen in New York, and this goes above 98.43, still going up as I'm talking. Tomorrow, then look for a dip, maybe back down to the 9,800 level. All right, so as we wait for the news, if we can get a sell-off down, I'll be looking down here at 97.29 area. All right, Aussie dollar. All right, it's moving above 69 now. I was looking earlier in the day. What looks to be happening, going to my weekly chart, is that we're putting in a higher bottom here. 2 positive weeks, higher bottom. In all probability, unless something changes with the news outlook, we are potentially changing trend here at the moment. Higher bottom on the weekly. Are we going to be taking out this top on the weekly to move up to the extension level? All right. So the daily, it's in its 5th day from putting in the low. Be nice to have a day down, just to offer an opportunity to buy. I was looking at the 68.54 area. Just going to get rid of that fib. I was looking at 68.54 broken resistance to become support today. And I was looking at a pullback within this fib range, which we're moving above now. Pull back to the 62 and 68.52, 68.54 area, but we never quite got that deep. So posted that in the Telegram earlier today, but it never quite got down there. So a clear uptrend there at the moment on the 4-hour chart. So getting clear support now at broken resistance becoming support here at 68.69. So if the news is US dollar positive and we get some kind of spike down, watch the central pivot, 68.72, and a revisit of 68.69. Be great if we got a deep pullback to 68.54. That's daily support, but we'll just have to wait and see what the news brings. At the moment, as I said, as I was coming on, bit of a bid on the pairs to the US dollar at the moment, but they might offer a dip when the news comes out. But the overall movement over the last couple of weeks is definitely up. Euro Yen to the daily charts, this area here, this triple top, we challenged it last week and we're just holding above at the moment. We've almost moved up yesterday to go to the monthly chart. The next monthly level of resistance, clear uptrend like the Aussie Yen. Excuse me a moment. So clear uptrend on the monthly. I wouldn't try to go against that trend too much. Weekly's clearly up. We've certainly broken that area at the top at 144.24, and we're holding above there at the moment. Closed above yesterday, been a fraction below today, but we're holding above at the moment. All right. Now there is every possibility that we could move back below 144.24. I don't necessarily think that's going to change the trend too much. It's just that we're very high up. All right. Just going back to the daily. We haven't really had too much of a significant pullback. We had a fraction, half a day up, half a day down on Friday. Even if we pull back, we got some negativity for the pair. Even if we pull back, that to me wouldn't change the trend, but a good area to watch for a pullback, if we can get one, would be at 142.31 daily support. If price was to have a good 2-day pullback, that'd be great. Can that level hold for then the next move up? It's a little bit overextended, I think, in the short term. So I'm not really prepared to be a buyer where it is at the moment. However, you may well see, you can see prices sitting on top of 144.24. Any dips down into the area are getting supported. So it may well still get support there to move up, but you have to decide when is something maybe too overstretched, has it moved up too far, and does it just need some form of correction? Some form of correction isn't going to change the trend. It just means that it's no longer too overbought. Well, in my mind anyway. So, but 144.24 could well hold for a move higher. So you can watch that area after the news. All right. Euro dollar. Let's go to the weekly chart. Now we're crossing up on the MACD. Price structure wise, we're still in a downtrend, but with the dollar index at a significant 79% fib level, and the euro dollar makes at least 50% of the dollar index makeup, then this could have put in a potentially longer term bottom here. Price hasn't wanted to really move below 99, and now we're wanting to be back above parity, and we're back above monthly support at 101.18. If you go to your monthly chart, squash it in, there's an area of support here that we've moved below and we're back above it. So weekly trend is still down. So there's still the possibility that this trend will hold. I have noticed that we rallied back up to the 62 area. So over the next couple of days, 101.75 is the 62% retracement level. Then we've got the 79% retracement at 102.60. A great level, if we can continue up to look for an opportunity to trade down, could well be 103.40, which is back to the monthly, this area of monthly support that broke. It became resistance last month on a rally back to. Are we moving back to that level? And then what does the price do after that? Is it going to move through, or is it going to hold for a further decline? So day chart trend is up, but we're heading into the retracement area on the weekly range. So we still have to be very mindful of, is this just corrective before another longer term move down? So I don't know, I could take a poll. What do people think at the moment? Do we think the US dollar is going to have a much more of a deeper correction, or do we think it's just a short-lived affair at the moment? I'm going to look more on a deeper correction. Cameron, you think the US dollar is going to drop. Slava, you think it's short-lived. So I have a poll of at least two people. It's 50-50 to either side. I just think that where the US dollar has rallied to that 79% level now, it is a significant level. We haven't had any months down for a long time. I think we could get 1 or 2 months down at least, but we'll have to wait and see. So at the moment, we are moving back above here monthly resistance. So any immediate pullbacks, I would look at, I've got a daily support level here now at 100.90 and monthly support at 101.18. So just dropping down to the 4-hour chart. We have broken above the range that we were in. So anybody who may have taken a trade down here at the base of the range would have worked out very nicely. And you can see here on the 4-hour chart that any dips at the moment are being met at 101.18 monthly support. So I'm just going to get rid of that fib for the moment. So you can see there, monthly support is holding. Are we moving up to monthly resistance? All right. Everything's in trend there on the 4-hour chart. In fact, if I put a fib in, we've probably had a 62% retracement. Not quite. So what might happen here, we haven't quite had that 62% dip. When the news comes out today, if it's US dollar positive, this will pull back. We might see a pullback to the 62. So that's at 100.95 and a daily support at 100.90. So 10100 approximately could offer support today after the news. If this pair wants to continue its, move up, look to try, with any of these pairs that are positive at the moment, look to buy a dip. So look to where your day support levels are. Does it line up with a fib level? Can you find a confluence of support that makes sense? So if we do get, now there's a number of news events coming out this week. if no news event really changes the trend, it might give you a dip. So, you know, get ready for the dips. It's very difficult to be in a trade at the moment, maybe 10, 15 pips up coming into a very significant news event. So, but after the news, you know, does it dip down to a significant level of support where you could look to trade? All right, that's what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm going to be watching down here at the 10100 level down to 10090, that area just there with the fib. Do we get a bit of a dip down there? Does that hold? We could well be going up to the 10340 level. Cameron, you asked me how long do I generally wait till the news comes out? Well, I just have my levels that I'm looking at, so I'm just waiting for price to get to the level. Then I'm watching to see if price starts to hold there. So there's not a time period. It's more about what price is doing rather than anything. Slavy is saying Europe's economy is going to falter within the next month or two max. Can't sustain high euro for too long. Well, we'll have to wait and see. US is going into recession, so I don't know. I don't think the US dollar index is going to change trend. I just think we might get a bit more of a healthy correction than, you know, what we're having at the moment. We'll just have to wait. All right, pound yen, which has woken up after being in this horrible consolidator state, and it's moved above weekly resistance here. And if you get down into the intraday charts, it is holding on top of there. So all things being equal, we're probably getting support there to move up to test these highs. First level's monthly resistance at 168. If you go to your monthly chart, 168.01. And then we've got these more recent tops to negotiate. So you can see there on the 4-hour chart, we're just sitting on broken resistance now, 166.33. So post news, and we've got central pivot there. So support's coming at the central pivot and broken weekly resistance becoming support. Does price come down to that level after the news? Want to hold once more and then move up. All right. It's not dipping down very, you know, since we moved above on Monday, above 166.33, dips, any dip, intraday dip is coming in. Well, we just touched it today. Every other dip has been short. So I would expect, even if we snuck below 166.33, even down to 166, that we would probably dip down and come back up, back above 166.33. I think back to the day, this has been long-term accumulation for a long-term move up. All these yen pairs are very strong at the moment, except the dollar yen, which is a little bit flat, but all the other yen pairs are very, very strong. All right, so watch 166.33 weekly support to hold potentially for a move up to test the highs. Pound dollar, just waiting for the news, but it has today moved above the 1700 level. And you can see here, it doesn't want to get back down to 117 intraday on the 15. So let's look at the, let me just tidy things up. There we go. Weekly trend is still remaining down. I did some video analysis on this pair today, but we've hit major support. I've said this for countless weeks now. We've hit major support. Would we reverse down there? When we hit major resistance at the top here and here, what happened? We declined. So now we're hitting major support. Are we coming all the way back up to resistance at 142? That could be on the cards. Everybody's going to tell me that everything's very, very dire in the UK at the moment. But when we had the Brexit deal, life was good up here. Life is always exceptionally good when you're heading up to major resistance. Life is always exceptionally bad when you're heading down to major support. All right. But the market knows that this is very cheap down here at the moment. So we are having a 2-week bounce. We're heading up towards, just contending with, this is daily resistance. When we get to the daily chart, you'll see it. Heading toward weekly resistance at 117.60, next level at 119.33. weekly resistance. And we've got monthly resistance at 1958, this low over here. So still lower tops and bottoms on the weekly. Theoretically, this could just be corrective. If you draw a fib in, the fib lines up with the weekly and monthly resistance in this area here between 119.33 and 119.58. So that would be an area for sure to watch for potentially the market to stop there and put in on the lower top. But if it moves through that level, we could be getting a much more significantly deeper rally. All right, so we will, well, I can't say we will, but we may well move through this area up to the 62 level, which is 119.53. Then does that area hold for a decline? All right. We move above that level, I would expect maybe we're going to get a longer term move. So that's the line in the sand, I think, at the moment for the buyers. We get there and then we're going to have to wait and see what price does. So you can see we're in an uptrend. I've been looking potentially for a pullback to 1609. That's only 100 pips away. So whatever the news does today and tomorrow, we could certainly have a 100 pip pullback to 1600 area. Does that offer support for then a move up? This is a higher top. We don't have a higher bottom yet, so we'd have to have 1 or 2 day pullback to put in a higher bottom. So yes, this could go up for like 7 days straight, but you can see this movement back in time. We came up, we had a couple of days of selling, which made 1 day down, 1 negative day, 1 day down. And we might just get the same affair here, pulling back to approximately 1609 day support to then put in a higher bottom to move higher up to 1933. So as the news comes out, let's go back to the 4-hour chart here. Still very strong, that 4-hour chart. You know, we couldn't get down to the central pivot point today. Any dip might logically get support here at the central pivot point, 116.66. Any major dip locked down here at day support at 116.09. Okay. But when the news comes out, if it's more US dollar negative, this is just going to blow straight through this day resistance level and pop up to 1760 for sure. So it's a bit dangerous just to jump in. It'd be nice to have a dip down at a logical level where you could construct a trade to get long if you're not already long. But we're having a rally. I think we're still going to rally up further at the moment, at least up to the 62% retracement. All right, New Zealand yen. Go to your monthly charts. We are moving through some monthly areas here. And I've got a next level up here at 89.68 to head towards. And currently, weekly trends up, the monthly trends up, and we're above this top that we put in April time. And we're holding above. A little overstretched, but it's a little bit like the euro yen. It's a little bit overstretched. But, you know, price is holding above this current top. We might move below that level. We could move back to this top over here, 86.95, so approximately the 87 level. There's another top here at 86.81. So around about the 87 level, fraction below, we got support. All right, I think, you know, we could get a dip on any negativity, but ultimately this is in an uptrend. So, and we are holding above that top now. We've dipped below today, but we're back above it. So clearly the buyers are just sitting underneath that top, wanting to come in and push it up. So any negativity might drop it down, but I'm pretty sure we'll find some support down there. So it's just a question of being able to construct something that makes sense. You know, drawing a fib across there, 62 level lines up with the 86.95 monthly top. So that would be a good level to watch for a dip. There is some support lows, or are some support lows, get my grammar correct, just underneath there, which fraction below 86.81 support, but it lines up with the 79% fib. All right, so get your fib drawn in there. That could pull back. That would be like a little bit of a potential left shoulder, head. And if you got into that 79 area here, that would be like a right shoulder inverse look. All right, there's a potential of that to happen over the next 24 hours. So Cameron, you're asking me, we should really need to be looking at these charts around midnight. Well, the news is coming out at 10:30. So I would say anytime after 10:30, start to watch. But yeah, the dips might, occur around midnight, but it depends how quickly price moves. Price can sometimes move very quickly. It could spike down there in 15 minutes and then want to start to, pull back up the chart. So getting, looking at the pairs that you're very interested in, and then looking at where the 4-hour retracements occur or could occur. Does it line up with support? And then get those levels drawn in ready for just price, have a news dip, because a lot of these pairs are in an uptrend at the moment. So a news dip would probably be quite swift. Probably wouldn't need an hour and a half after the news for these levels to hit and then start popping straight back up. So, that looks like a nice area. Will it get down there? We'll have to wait and see. At the moment, it is holding above that major top at 87.33. New Zealand dollar. Now, last week I was discussing the potential of a double bottom. We did graze through that a little bit, but I could still keep this as a double bottom, potentially. So let's just go to the weekly chart. There it is. Bit of divergence showing on the weekly MACD. Is this a double bottom for a long-term move up now? Just want to draw a fib across this major range. So we're in between the 62 to 79 of that major move up from the COVID low. And are we forming a double bottom down here at the 60.047 level? Positive week last week, even though we're trading below and we're having just a week up. Is it a double bottom? As I say, with double bottom patterns, try to get in by the 79% level. Then we're looking for price to move up to break above the high. And then you got the 200% projection. 68.89 looks miles away at the moment, doesn't it? But, if the US dollar index was to change trend, let's say have 3 months pullback, well, not change trend long term, but at least have a very corrective phase, like a 3-month pullback, well, that could easily get up to 68.89. This is, if somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the currency pair, or the New Zealand dollar is the highest interest rate bearing currency at the moment. All right, so from a carry perspective, the New Zealand dollar is the best pair. So is that carry perspective going to translate into a long-term move up here? So we're definitely getting support here. It'd be awesome if we got a little bit of a dip down. So if you're not already in this pair, I'm not already in it either. So if we could get a day down, or even come back and test very close to 60.46. If we draw a fib across that current move up at the moment, drop it down to 4-hour chart, then, the 62 level is fractionally above support. All right. And whilst this isn't the most perfect looking head and shoulder pattern inverse, but, potentially this could be a left shoulder where we've got the potential of a double bottom forming, but on a lower time frame, is this a head, inverse head? And, would we, or could we pull back to that area in between the 62 and 79% level down to weekly support for a final test to create a head and shoulder pattern to move up that way? That would be the most perfect scenario. Whether or not the price action will give us that, but it's worth monitoring that. It's worth monitoring this pulling back in some form, trying to get long ahead of moving above the 79% level. But, it's great setting up what would be ideal. Sometimes price will give that to you. So, if it gives us that, then for sure, be all over it. But price might not quite give us what we want. Troy, yep, that would be a great entry indeed. So, you know, let's not discount that. It would only take 2 days of trading to move down there. All right, so don't discount the fact that we potentially are getting support on the weekly chart. We could pull back because on the day chart, if I just tidy this off a bit, we haven't had the higher bottom form yet on the day chart. We've got a higher top, if my memory is correct. In fact, we don't have a higher top either at the moment, but this is looking like maybe we're moving up to put a top in. At some point, we might pull back to put a higher bottom in. So whether or not we get a little bit of a head and shoulder pattern forming, we're really searching for the first higher bottom to form. All right. And then once that first higher bottom forms, we've got every chance then that the trend might start to evolve because traders are going to start to see that higher bottom in place. And then, you know, they're going to start to jump on the bandwagon. So at least for me asking me, am I expecting pullback to the 100 FIB level? Well, it would be great if it would. If it does, I'll be all over it. So as I was just showing you there on the 4-hour chart, I don't think it will, but you never know. The news that is coming out, we've got some New Zealand dollar news coming out as well. We have some New Zealand, what did I say? So Thursday, 8:45 a.m., we've got GDP news. You don't know what that will be. That could be the thing that drives the pair down. And then if it does, you know, look for support to come in. And then, you know, if you don't plan the chart out and then have that level on your chart ready to go, you never know whether price will or won't get down there. But if it gets down there and you're not planned waiting ahead of time, you're going to miss it, aren't you? Like you could even set an order there right now, you know, 60.50, slightly ahead of support. Price gets down to 60.50, you're in. You know, you could set that now. That could happen in the middle of the night. So first of all, you have to make a decision. Do you want to get long that pair? Then where would you really like to get in? Set the order. Now, price might not get down to that level. You might need to adjust it over the next few days if support comes in ahead of it. But, you know, don't go cussing it. I missed that. Duncan talked about that level and I never got in. Put your order in. If you like it, put your order in. And then you're going to wait and see if that pattern will form and then run out. So there's a potential of a head and shoulder pattern to form there, which would give you an entry to get in for that longer term potential double bottom. You know, if you could get in near that support level, if it meets the double top target, there's 850 pips there. All right. So trying to get into the early phase is always the best option. Okay. All right. We've done enough on that New Zealand. All right. Dollar Canadian. Are we creating a long, you know, like I've just been looking at a potential double bottom on the New Zealand dollar. If we go back to the Aussie, we're putting in a potential weekly chart higher bottom here. Are we on the dollar Canadian putting in a potential lower top, kind of double top there on the weekly? We've already had a week down. All right, so we kind of got this. It's not perfect railroad tracks, but it's almost railroad tracks here. A very strong week up to the top, very strong week down next week. We're already having a week down. We're just contending with this top here at 129.63, which is monthly top, monthly support. And then we've got the 129 area, 129.01 weekly support here. So a couple of support levels to move down through. But if this is a double top, I've already got the fib drawn in, the 200% level comes in a little bit below this area of support at 124.49. All right, so, you know, 120, let's call it 124.50. Price is at 129.70. There's 500 pips to go at the moment. All right, so getting on, if we are getting a major change on the US dollar in terms of, you know, moving down at the moment for a couple of months, you know, growing 500 pips on one of these pairs with these patterns starting to form would be an ideal scenario. So, you know, there's been a very minor double top on the daily, and we've had four negative days. It wouldn't be a stretch to see this come up a bit. You know, this weekly level that we broke above, it became support a couple of days here, 130.76. The logical level for a rally at the moment, if we get a rally, 1 or 2 day rally back up to 130.76 would be ideal. Will it give that? But we know we've double topped, we've fallen down, we haven't really rallied up to put in a lower top yet. So it's going to put a lower top in somewhere. You know, a great area would obviously be 130.76. 50% levels there. I don't really trade the 50%. 62 is a lot higher up. So it might not get to the 62 because of the resistance. So I would just monitor, you know, do we pop up to 130.76 after having 4 negative days? Sooner or later, we will have a couple of days up. So you never know. Again, it's another level just to watch at the moment. Can we get a corrective phase on the daily there to where resistance is on the weekly chart, 130.76? All right, so more to that level. Dollar yen. Now, if I go to the weekly chart, we've had this pullback to the 62, weekly support, and we're into the profit level area of the tool. You can see it's struggling a little bit up here above 127 extension, 142.90. Price is struggling above there. So it's now just holding at 142.17, which if we go to the monthly, that's a monthly area of resistance. Back in time over here. Excuse me a moment. All right, I'm still struggling with my voice a little bit. Just want to, I don't know if I can squash this in anymore. I just want to look at where, in relation to the dollar index and its 79% fib retracement, just want to look at drawing a fib from this top down to that significant low. All right, we're beyond that 79% level. That's fine. I just wanted to see where we might have a 79% level. We've got another top over here. Let's just blow that up now and just see where and how that looks. So we are at a 79% level from a significant top back in time. It's probably not the one that you would initially pick, but we do have a 79% level. Just want to look at the date. So that is the April 1990s. Let's go back to the dollar index. All right, so that's July 2001. So it's a high further back than that. Just wanted to see, compare those two highs or see if they're the same highs or not. They're not quite the same highs. However, there still is a 79% level there that could be meaningful to the market. All right, so I might just leave that on for the moment. All right, so you can see that the market is holding there at the moment at that 79% fib. So it does mean something to it. Whether or not it's holding at the 79% fib or the market, as we're showing you there on the weekly chart, is just profit taking at the 127 extension area from that 62% pullback. But there's a confluence of things there that would say that the market's in an overstretched territory. All right, so, and we're at monthly resistance where we try to move above and maybe we're holding. So of course, if the dollar index pulls back, this potentially may pull back. This may only just pull back within the structure of the trend in the fib tool. So what I'll be looking at the moment is just monitoring the fib drawn across that weekly range now. and looking for, a pullback to the 62 level. All right. Even if there's been a little bit of talk about Japan maybe raising interest rates in a couple of months, they might not do it by very much, but whatever they do isn't going to change the interest rate differential, but we might get a little bit of movement down on the dollar index, or sorry, on the dollar yen, or it may just go sideways for a while. But, pulling back to the next 62% retracement, it got very good support last time. It pulled back to 62. So this just pulling back to the 62, which is at 135.98, may well be what this pair wants to do. I mean, it's not changing. The day trend isn't changing at the moment. It's just sitting fractionally. Well, it's just sitting on that monthly broken resistance level, acting as support at the moment. But you can monitor, do we get a deeper pullback? So like the other yen pairs that have been very strong over the last week to 2 weeks, they've broken above monthly tops and they're sitting on the monthly top at the moment. This is doing the same, but this just looks like a fraction more negative than the other pairs to the yen at the moment. The 4-hour MACD is clearly crossed down and separated, and we've been coming down, putting in lower tops on the 4-hour chart. So depending on what the news does, we could get support here, but for me, I would be more inclined to wait for a healthy pullback on that pair. To me, that's just too overextended. And if we can just correct like it did last time to the 62% retracement area, there's a bit of support here in that area too. I could draw that in. Over the next couple of weeks, 135.57. That area pulling back to support, 62% fractionally above. That will be a great area to watch. Okay. I'm not that fussed about trying to sell that down because it might not get down there. But if it gets down there, then it would be a good level to watch. I'm not really fussed at all about selling any of these yen pairs because the interest rate differential favors the left side currency. So, sure, there's going to be dips, but you don't need to trade down the dip way. Look for the dip to occur and try to get yourself set for the next upward move. All right, this dollar yen, for example, could well be moving up to this potential high at 147.68. That's 500 pips away. We could be moving up to the 160 level where I've just referenced the historical fib from, so that's another 1,200 pips further up. All right, so I don't think there's any question at the moment where the trend is, and it might be a bit of a fool's paradise to try to short something unless you see a clear sign. But I'm always trying to trade with a trend within the higher time frame structure. What am I seeing on the higher time frame structure? Trading with that trend. So my high time frame structure is clearly up. So I'm not going to try and block that trend, especially when the dollar yen's been so strong all year long. All right, let's get into, where are we now? Let's get into gold as a final thing to look at. I did a video on this pair today. And on the weekly here, we're theoretically a bit like the Aussie dollar putting in a higher bottom. We've come down to test major support, 1678, got a fraction short, came up to put a top in, came back down, and we're putting in a higher bottom here. We're having a week up. Are we? Drawing our fib like this, like I showed you on the Aussie dollar, are we putting in a bottom here to move up now longer term to test 1807? Can we move up and through to the 127 extension? Here's a look on the daily. At the moment, it's just negotiating some old broken support on the daily here at 117, sorry, at 1727, this old area of resistance. And in the video I did today, can we move above that level now? And then any intraday dip, can we find support at that level to continue up to test the high that we came from? And ultimately, that's 1807 and move through to 1842, the 127 extension. Looks like we're putting a higher bottom in on the weekly. Looks like, trend is up there now. Should be looking for opportunities to be a buyer. I did see on the 4-hour chart that, depending on what the news does today, the 4-hour structure is very bullish. See all the higher tops and bottoms forming here. We've already had a dip, which, dipped to the 62. So we've already dipped maybe for now a move above that 4-hour top. All right, just continuing with that. It just needs a little bit of impetus, something to nudge it through that daily resistance at the moment. It's all looking bullish, just hasn't quite had enough stimulus just to move above that level. So if we can move above 1727, look for that to become support over the next few days for a move higher. All right, everybody, any more questions? Anything you want to ask me? We've obviously got, let's just go back to the news. We'll just cover the news for the full week. CPI data tonight. Of course, the market's going to be looking at the CPI data for the US, the PPI data for the US to see how the interest rate rises have been affecting, the economy. Is inflation starting to peak? Can it move the other way? All right, we got retail sales as well coming out Thursday. Are they slowing down because of the higher interest rates? All right, New Zealand GDP tomorrow, getting into Thursday morning, as I discussed before. So tonight, US CPI data. Tomorrow in the afternoon, pound CPI data. US PPI data, 10:30 p.m. Wednesday. Moving into the morning of Thursday, we've got New Zealand dollar GDP, QQ. Aussie unemployment rate. That would be great if that gave us a one-day dip to maybe structure something to get in on to continue that move up. Into Thursday evening, 10:30 p.m., we've got US core retail sales, Empire State Manufacturing Index and retail sales. And then next red item would be on into Saturday morning on the midnight, prelim UOM consumer sentiment. So be aware of the high items, CPI data, PPI data coming out. Market is going to be clearly looking at that data to see what happens. So it'd be interesting to see if this 2-week rally that we're having on the pairs to the US dollar will be continuing after that data, or is it a complete shift, complete different tone after that? Well, we'll have to wait and see. All right. I mean, if we start to get, I don't try to work out too much what the data means and what price will, occur. But if this CPI data and PPI data is showing that interest rates are working, is that US dollar negative or positive? Does that now mean that we won't get, the 0.75 interest rate hikes from the Fed? Are they going to be lessening their rate hike? How does the market all interpret that? Is that US dollar strength or US dollar weakness? I will have to wait and see. All right, everybody, I'll just give you a minute for any final questions, just to give you a heads up what's coming up in the next webinar tomorrow. I'm going to be going through a new webinar, which I haven't delivered before, 15-minute fib trade entry. So I'm going to look at the 15-minute charts, showing you how you can use the fib tool to buy or sell dips or rallies, creating limited risk, enabling you to get, achieve risk reward targets greater than 1 to 3. So show you how you can start to look at that. If intraday charts is your thing, then you might find very good value from that. George, good evening to you. Thanks for attending. All right, everybody, so that's what's coming up tomorrow. And then again, we've got live market analysis on Thursday evening. All right, everybody, thanks very much. If you're on our YouTube live stream, thanks very much for attending. I couldn't see the chat, but I might just go there now as I'm ending, just to see if there's any questions that I can answer. So thanks, everybody. Have a good night. George, you've got a question, so I'll just hang fire. All right, Troy, no worries. You've got a data cap. All right, George, if you have a question, type it in. Thanks, Troy. So George, you want to ask me about the orange highlight? Which orange highlight are you talking about? So are we talking a particular pair? First chart, Aussie Yen. I don't know if I've got a highlight on the Aussie Yen. Just confirm the pair. First pair I went through was the Aussie Yen, if that's the one you're talking about. Just look, I'm pretty sure wasn't the dollar index, wasn't the S&P 500. So the first pair after that was the Aussie Yen. I may have highlighted an area. What I was looking at on the Aussie Yen was we got a monthly top here. We moved above at 96.87. And then on the 4-hour chart, I've drawn a fib across the current structure. And the 79% level, 97.29, lines up with that level. So I may have drawn that level in. But let me just click through my other charts to see where my yellow bits are. I did put one on the Euro Yen. On the Euro Dollar, I put one in. That was at the 10100 level down to day support at 10090. Was that the pair? What? Okay, so what's your question? So what I'm looking at here is there's a 4-hour structure, and I'm looking at the 62% level coinciding with day support down there, and also the figure. So, you know, if the news is US dollar positive tonight for a while, we may well see a dip down there. So I'm looking at the figure 10100 down to 10090. So did you have a question on that, or you just wanted to refresh so you knew what I was talking about? You didn't understand the purpose of it? Well, if I just go through it from top to bottom before we finish. So what I'm looking at in the day chart is we've moved above this daily resistance level at 10090. It's changing that into an uptrend. Broken resistance could be now support. So if we have an intraday dip, I'm looking at 1090 to be potential support. On the 4-hour chart, structurally, this is in an uptrend. So drawing a fib to measure a pullback. 62% level lines up very closely to that level. 62 levels at 10095 within 5 pips. All right. As well, we got the 10100 level, the figure can act as support. So I'm looking at the figure down to day support, which is at 10090 for potential support on a pullback. All right. That area there, that's how I'm coming up with it. Day supports, 62% pullback in the figure. So I've got 3 tools there that could act as intraday support today in the area. Now I might not pull back there because it's going up at the moment, but if we get a bit of US dollar strength when the news comes out, we may well see a dip down, and that would be a great level to watch for support. All right, thanks, George. Thanks, everybody. If you've got the time, look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Other than that, let's see what the news does tonight, see whether we can get maybe a little bit of a pullback within the market to a healthy level of support, and maybe on your favorite pair that you can get long if that pair's in an uptrend. Watch that New Zealand dollar. You never know what might happen. It may pull back to support and offer that opportunity to trade down there to the long side maybe. Okay. Thanks, everyone.